Today we are going to learn something more about the composition in After Effects. So first of all, I create a new composition and then I call this composition as square and using the same size, 25 frames per second for 5 seconds, okay? And then I just leave this is fine, okay? I don't need to create a solid this time because I would like to show you that in every composition, the background is transparent like this, okay? You see it look like in black, but actually it's not, okay? If you just clicking this button, you can see actually the layers is in transparent, okay? If you really want to have a black background, you need to create a new solid and create a black solid, okay? But actually this time I don't need any background. Okay, so first of all, I will like to create an animation with the deformation. Okay, to deform a square into a triangle. So I'm using the pen tool, and then I draw 4 points to create a square. Okay, if you would like to make sure that it's a square, you can using the grid here. So there's a lot of grid here so that you can looking at the grid and then you can see the size, okay, whether it is a straight line, okay. After you adjust it, you can also turn it off, okay. So this is my square. Okay, this is my first square. So I name this layer as square. And then I would like to animate the deformation. So I go to the layer, go to contents, shape 1, path 1, path. Okay, so maybe I will start the deformation from here. I switch on the stopwatch next to the path, and then I would like to have the square at the beginning, and it will deform into a triangle. Okay, so I can select the point, I can move, I can select the point, and I go move to here, and now it become a triangle. So when I pay back my animation, you can see that it's a deformation. Okay, but the deformation doesn't look good, okay, because it's just too simple and it's not interesting. So I further adjust the timing or adjust the shape before it become a triangle. Okay, so I will add few more keyframe here. Okay, so first of all, I go to here. Using the add vertex tool, I add few more vertex. I add 3 more vertex on each side, and then I make it like this. It looks like squeezing. Okay, and then also I will adjust the curvature like this. Once I make it, I can make this animation look more elastic instead of very rigid triangle shapes. Okay, I make it like this, and then after few frame, okay, it will become like this. Okay, and then after few more frame, it will become like this again. But you can comparing with what I did before, you can see that it's different. Now become this one. Okay, so and then I can add few more. It's more or less look like a triangle, right? And then if one more, again, it will look like the shape like this. But remember, when you're animating it, you need to comparing with the previous one. Okay, should be not that obvious anymore. It's more look like a triangle. So you can see this one, and this is this one. Maybe the last one will be the triangle. I can just simply to click here, it will become a straight line. Okay, I can using the handle and click once, click once. Okay. So you can preview the animation. It will find that it looked like more elastic. You can see that at the beginning, I just animate the square and deform into the triangle. It looked very rigid. It's very stiff. But now I add few more keyframe. It look like more elastic and look more interesting. Okay, so this is the first part. What I do. Okay, you can see that I have just simply to sorry, simple to draw a shape here. Okay, only one, and then I got one, and then I make sure that the center point of this layer, okay, can be at the center. Okay, now I'm going to create our second composition. Okay, I create a second composition I call many squares. Okay, which means I would like to duplicate few more. Okay, instead of just one. Okay, so I create another composition. So you will know that why we need to create several composition. Okay, I clicking OK. And then now you can see that I have one composition. I have another one composition. One is called square, and you can see the deformation I done here. The new one actually is still empty, nothing here. Okay, and then you can also looking at the project window here. You can see I have two composition, right? Only one square, and this is still empty, empty one, empty composition. So in the empty squares composition, in the new composition, okay, I drag this one to my many square. So you can see inside the composition of many square, I have got one. Okay, so I can have one. Maybe I can put it here. And then I can duplicate few more. Okay, I go to edit duplicates. And then I have the second one. So you can see this is the second one. And then I can duplicate few more. Okay, I can using the command D or control D. Okay, so that I can duplicate few more. Okay, let's say I have totally got 7. Okay, if you would like to align each better, you can select all this layer and go to align here, and then you can go to the distribute layer, and then you can click here, and then it will evenly distributed. Okay, now you can see that I've got 4 square shapes. Okay, what happened if I pay back in this new composition? You can see that although I can see 7 square is deformed from a square into a triangle shape, but actually I only did once, and then it will repeat. Okay, because I duplicated. Okay, so what happened if I change the color of this square? Okay, if I don't like the blue color anymore, maybe I change into the yellow color. Okay, so what happened? I go to the many square, you can see it will change altogether. It's really, really easy to do it. What happened if I change the animation here with just a single shape? Okay, so let's say I add a few more animation here. Maybe I add position. Maybe I would like to create an animation that is square is at the bottom and move up like this. I can also adjust the curve, the graph editor. Remember, you need to adjust the curve every time because the timing is very important. Okay, so I adjust my timing. I like slower. I will make it slower. Okay, so, and then you can see the animation. Um, okay, I slightly move uh, forward. Yeah, something like this. Okay, yeah, something like this. And maybe I can also animate a rotation. I have teach you how to do the rotation before. Okay, so maybe when it become a triangle, I can start rotating. Okay, if I type 1 here, mean it will turn 360 degree. Yeah, something like this. Maybe I would like to adjust the curve, the graph editor again. Slow down. Okay, so you can see, yeah, something like this. Or I can make it a little bit earlier to start. Yeah, something like this. Okay, what happened now? Because I add few more animation in this single square. So I go back to many square so you can pay back my animation. So you can see everything have been copied, right? So it's very fun that if you make good use of the composition, you can helping you to create a more complicated animation. Okay. So and I can demonstrate few more. For example, I create an other new composition. Let's say I call it fireworks because the pattern look like a fireworks, so I call it fireworks. And then I also using the square one. Yeah, I would like to using this one, but maybe I think it's too big. So I can using the scale to make it smaller. Okay, something like this. Okay, and then I need to adjust the center point. You can see this center point. I would like to make it maybe somewhere here. Okay, or you can also using the snapping function. Okay, remember you can snap. Okay, but maybe it's not easy for you. Okay, doesn't matter. You can switch off. You do not want it, or you can using the grid here to helping you to know where is the center. Okay, I will try to put the center like this. Okay, at the center, but at the bottom, far away. Okay, maybe here. So you can see that where is my center point is. Okay, this is my square, but the center point is not at the center. Okay, instead of at the center, I move here. Okay, so we'll do some of the calculation here. Okay, oops. Um, so what we're going to do, for example, I would like to duplicate 8 more. Okay, using 360 degree divided by 8. I got 45 degree. So this is what I need to memorize, 45 degree. Okay, I need to duplicate 7 more so that I can have 8 in total. So I have 1. I using edit duplicate or pressing Command D or Control D, I duplicate 7 more. So now I've got 8 total. You can see there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then I'm pressing R for rotation. So you can see, totally I got so many. And you will still remember what I calculate, 45 degree. So what I happen to do here, okay, I type 45 and then 45 plus 45, so 90. 90 plus 45, 135 and 180, 225, 270, 3 and 5. Okay, so you can see that it's a perfect circle. So when I pay back my animation, it looks like a fireworks way. So it's also another way to make so that you can create more complicated shapes. Okay, for example, this one. You will also move it a bit here. Okay, the composition much better. So remember, actually this is a transparent layer, so it should be something like this. Okay, so uh, okay, so let's try another example here. Based on the example that I showed you before, I would like to create an alternate composition. Maybe I call it wrong. Okay, and then I draw a rectangle shape here. Draw rectangle shapes. Okay, and this time I don't need to create so many different composition. Okay, I only need to keep one. And then the center point is at the center. I can using the snapping tools again. Okay, so I put it here. Once I've done, just turn it off. Okay, so this is my first layer. And then I duplicate 6 more. So I using the Command D button, duplicate 6 more. Sorry, 5 more. So I totally got 6. Okay, so here we go. And then, because this time the center point is at the center, actually I duplicate 6, but actually I should have 12 because I have 1, 2. Okay, so what is the calculation here is 360 divided by 12 should be 30. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now is I pressing R button. Okay, I setting the first keyframe from 0 to 30. The second one, I switch on the stopwatch, setting same value, 60, and then add more 30. So totally 60. And then repeat the same things. 60. And set another key. 60 plus 30. So 90. And then add another one. Again 90. Add 30. So 112. 20, sorry. So repeat to do the same thing. 150. Finally, 150, 180. So have a better result. Let me change the color of each of this shape so that you can see more clearly. What color you change, it should be different color. Otherwise, you cannot see the results. Okay, so you can see the result here. But you don't know what's going on, right? Because we still need to do a bit things here. For each of the layer, okay, you need to start at the first keyframe. So I adjust this layer. Based on this is the first keyframe, so you should start here. So this is the first keyframe of this layer. Okay, I trim down, okay, to here. This is my first keyframe. Also move here. This is my first keyframe. Again. So check with the result again. Okay, right? It looked like the sample that I showed you before. Okay, how to make it disappear again? Okay, for example, for each of the layers, I add the third key. Okay, keeping the same value, just pressing this button, adding another key. Okay, and then final keyframe 100, 180. Yeah, something like this. For the second layer, this is the second layer, I also just pressing the button, add another key for the last keyframe, also 180. So for the third layer, add another key, the last keyframe, 180. The fourth layer, add another key, 180. The fifth layer, add 180. Okay, so for the final exercise is using the mask, the clipping mask. Okay, so I create another new composition I call mask. Okay, and then maybe I draw shapes. Okay, let's say I draw a square shape. And then this is my square, and then I name it square, and also make sure that the center point is the correct position. So I'm using the pen behind tool. Okay, let's say I put it at the center. Okay, but not every time put it in the center. Okay, only this time I put it in the center. And then I create a very simple animation. Okay, at position. I pressing P to show the position, and I would like to start from the top and then the squares and move down and then out of the screen. Okay, it moved out of the screen, something like this. Okay, if I need to adjust the timing speed, I can also using the graph editor, change it. I would like to have faster motion at the end, slower motion at the beginning. Okay, something like this. Okay, so my motion is slower at the beginning and faster at the end. Okay, if I would like to make it more obvious, I can change it like this. Okay, yeah. So I would like to create something look like a portal. Okay, it will pass through a hole. Okay, and go away and disappear. Okay, so this is the square. And then I need to draw the portal. So before I draw something new, remember to click on the empty space. Okay, and then using the ellipse tool. Okay, maybe my portal is in gray color. Okay, my portal should be bigger than my square, right? So based on the size of the square, I draw the portal. And then this is my portal. So again, using the pen behind tool, make sure that the center point is at the center. Okay, and then the portal should be here. Okay, at about here. And then remember, change the layer of this shape portal. Okay, something like this. Then I need to think about my animation. Okay, before the square fall, okay, the portal is disappear at the beginning. The portal is disappear at the beginning and then it appear suddenly. Okay, so how can I make my portal disappear? Actually, I can using the opacity or I can using the scale to make it look like disappear. Okay, so let's say I'm using the scale button. I switch off this chain, okay, because I don't want to have a proportion. On proportion, I don't want to have on scale. Okay, so I switch off this one and then I switch on the stopwatch. So maybe here, my portal is very, very small. This is X value, this is Y value. I can set the value is 0. 0 means nothing. Okay, you can see here. Okay, nothing here. You cannot see it. Okay, so I set at the very beginning is 0. And then here is 100%. So my portal is starting from 0 and become something. Okay, so also I would like to have more interesting things is smooth a little bit forward. You still remember I would like to make it look more elastic element. Okay, so I can do something like this. You can see that as little movement of my square. No, my portal. Right, it's look more interesting if I add few more keyframe here. Yeah, and then, but you can see it is not really a portal, okay? So actually I need to using the mask, okay, to just showing part of my square shapes. So before I draw the mask, I click on the empty space, okay. So I using the pen tool to draw the mask. Mask mean that the area that you can see, okay, no matter what is the shape of the mask. Okay, you can see that my mask here is in gray, but actually no matter it's in yellow, it's still fine. But you cannot be just an outline. Just an outline is not working. Okay, it has to be a solid, something like this. Okay, I can still able to adjust the shapes. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so the area which is in yellow here is the mask. Okay, only this area I can see. The area here or here, you will not see anything. Okay, so remember to change the layer mask. Okay, so I go to square and then I click on the button here on the left bottom corner. And then there is a chat mat. Chat mat actually is about mask. Okay, so I go to the square and then chat mats. I can choose the mask. Okay, I can choose my mask. And then once you do it, you can see that the layer of the mask is become invisible. Is correct, which is correct. You don't need to switch it on. Okay, just keep it invisible. Okay, because actually the yellow shape, you don't really need to see it. Okay, so it seems right now, right? But it still have got some problem because you can see that the portal, the layer of the portal is not in the correct order. Okay, this layer should be here at the bottom. Now you can see. Can looking at the animation. Okay, actually my square, you can see part of my square is gone because it's out of the shape of my mask. Because you can see this is the shape of the mask, just part of this area. Okay, so this is the mask. Okay. Yeah, something like this.